Hello everyone, welcome to the special election edition on NDTV. I'm Radhika Ramaswamy. I'm joined by seasoned politician Milind Deora. In fact, this time we are not catching him on a busy campaign trail. Of course, he's just come from several meetings and campaigns, but now we are catching him up over cups of coffees and delicacies in a neighborhood restaurant in Worli. All right, Mr. Deora, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. Do you really get time to have cups of coffees and nashta these days? How busy? I mean, I'm sure the schedule is busy, but do you have time to even breathe?
No, election schedules are very busy. This is my fifth election, and I've seen it from childhood. I've seen my late father. He fought 7 parliament elections, assembly elections, corporation elections. So from childhood, we've seen it. It's a hectic time, but it's a time when we also get to, you have to regulate yourself. And I've learned over the years, compared to when I was 27 years old in my first election, to now when I'm 47, I've learned how to, 20 years later, regulate myself much better, take care of myself much better. I meditate. I try to do at least once a day to declutter my mind of all the activity that's been happening the night before or during the day. I try to eat healthy as much as possible.
Yes.
And I just said healthy, and there you go. Thank you. And so these are things which I try to do, and generally, you get a good workout when you campaign as well. Stay hydrated. But it would be wrong for me to say I don't get time to have a cup of coffee. I wake up in the morning. I get about half an hour to read, to glance through the newspapers, glance through the news of the day, and of the morning rather, and have something to drink.
How has the campaign trail been, and how difficult has it been over the last several weeks? Take us through the challenges that you're facing while you're on the road. Of course, you're a seasoned politician. You've done it before. You've been MP multiple times. So, but how challenging has it been this time?
In a strange way, the heat is not so bad. It's not as bad as a summer election. My God. Thank you. Yes, thank you. The heat is better relative to a summer Lok Sabha election. Number one. Number two, the parliamentary elections, you typically get about 2 to 3 weeks to cover 6 assembly constituencies that make up a parliamentary seat. Here you have about 2 to 3 weeks to cover 1 assembly seat. So in that sense, it's easier, but it also means you're using your time to almost do door-to-door campaigning, going chawl to chawl, building to building, slum to slum, home to home. And that in some ways is more grueling also. Both have their own challenges.
As I said, you are a seasoned politician. You've been the youngest parliamentarian, and you've contested election multiple times, MP twice. What drove you to contest from Worli this time? Of course, you know South Bombay better than many other leaders. But what drove you to contest this time from Worli constituency, and what drove you to contest at all?
Firstly, it is a left field decision. Thank you. Chai, please. Thank you. Thank you. Half cup. Thank you. For me, like you said, I'm a South Mumbaikar. I've represented this area several times. I know this area. I'm born here. I live here. I work here. This is my Janma Bhumi and my Karma Bhumi. There's no doubt Aaditya Thackeray is an important leader of the opposition. And he's been the MLA of this area for the last 5 years. So, in some ways, this is a political challenge. The party, the alliance felt we should mount a serious challenge. And there were many discussions that we had. We have a lot of good local workers here. And, in Worli is a very different constituency in that it's A, very cosmopolitan. B, there is a strong emotion of Worlikar. There are a lot of people who consider themselves local Worlikars. You won't find that in Malabar Hill, where there's a local aspiration and they want local people. Worli, thank you, has also had one of the longest serving MLAs in Maharashtra, Dattaji Nalavade, who was a local. After that, it had Sachin Ahir from the NCP, it had Sunil Shinde from the Shiv Sena, also locals. Aaditya was really the first outsider MLA from this area. And there was, in some ways, we wanted to mount a challenge. We wanted to raise the stakes. We did think about giving this ticket to a local Worli Karyakarta who's on the ground, accessible to them, unlike, let's say, Aaditya. But the decision was finally taken that, these things spin both ways. If we gave it to a local person, what could have happened is the narrative would have been, oh, you've given him a cakewalk. You've given it to an unknown person. And then all kinds of speculation and conspiracy theories would have floated around.
You know Aaditya Thackeray very well. I mean, you've been his friend, you've been his colleague, you know him for many, many years. So do you find it a little weird that you're contesting against him? I know this is not
Look,
personal.
he's a friend. He's someone I've known for a long time. There's no doubt. I've seen him since he was a young man. And I remember when he was a young boy, when he was a student and he came to Delhi once, and I was a member of parliament. He came home and he had written a book on poetry. So there's nothing personal about it. But he's campaigned for me very aggressively in 2014 and 2019. It's not that I took it the wrong way. And so he shouldn't either, number one. If he takes it personally, that's his problem, not mine. I'd like to think he is more mature than that. But this is really about issues. This is really about telling the people of Worli, telling the people of Mumbai, telling the people of Maharashtra that we have to move forward. Unfortunately, the kind of politics he started out practicing, and the kind of politics he's been doing for the last few years after he lost power, in my opinion, is very negative and very unfortunate, because he came in with a lot of promise. He's now become a speed breaker in the way of progress. The largest port in the country, Vadhavan Port, coming to Maharashtra in Palghar, he opposed it blindly. One of the largest refineries coming to Maharashtra, he opposed it. One of the largest nuclear power plant in the world in Konkan, he opposed it. He delayed the Mumbai metro by 4 years and led to a cost escalation of 14,000 crores. The Mahalakshmi race course, which he failed to implement when the lease expired in 2013. This government did it. He's opposing it. So I think this opposition politics for the sake of opposing, just because you don't like the person who's implementing it. You have a problem with the leader who's implementing it, doesn't mean you should become anti-Maharashtra, anti-Mumbai.
Sure. So many of the projects were stalled under MDA regime is something that you've been pointing, and several other leaders within Mahayuti as well. Now, talking about Worli constituency, of course, you said that there is a lot of conversation around Worli constituency a lot, and that is something that even I noticed when I came here, when we were doing the setup. A lot of talk around how this is a three-way fight. Anything that you'd like to say about the third contestant, Sandeep Deshpande of MNS, who seemed to also win some sort of influence in this?
I don't think that anyone takes MNS very seriously now, number one. And largely this is a two-way fight. It's beyond Aaditya and Milind Deora. It's beyond two parties as well, or two alliances. It's really a fight between governance without speed limits or governance filled with speed breakers. And that's the choice that Worlikars have to make. Do they want Mumbai, Maharashtra to move forward at the speed it's been moving forward in the last few years? Or do they want to put speed breakers up on every single issue? There's a good balance between infrastructure like the coastal road, Atal Setu, Mumbai Metro, Trans Harbour, Navi Mumbai Airport. But at the same time, we're also implementing green infrastructure. The Mahalakshmi race course, plus the coastal road, will open up 300 acres of public parks, central parks, to the people of South Mumbai. He's opposing that. This fear psychosis, spreading fear among the people. Oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. The government is going to build towers on the Mahalakshmi race course. This is what's going to happen in Dharavi. Just blindly lying, in my opinion, is politics which is negative. It's going to harm Mumbai, it's going to harm Maharashtra, and that's really one of the core reasons why I'm fighting this election.
Absolutely. And as far as Worli constituency is concerned, you did speak about what the constituency is all about. It's a mixed constituency. You have your upscale, buildings, your elite buildings and people, and then you have your BDD chawls, which is another issue that you keep talking about, and Kolivadas. So tell us about the issues that you'd like to raise and some of the changes you'd like to see in the constituency.
Well, there are many issues. So there are many local. Look, to be honest, in every constituency in Mumbai now, especially in parts of South Mumbai, where you have old chawls. This was originally a larger area called Giran Gaon, which meant the village where the Girini Kamgars, the mill workers who worked in textile mills, housing for the laborers, when Mumbai was a textile hub of India. And chawls were built for them during the British era, for them to live there, and then they would come to the mills to work. Today, those chawls are being redeveloped. Those mills have been redeveloped. You see skyscrapers, you see towers, you see commercial buildings, you see retail spaces. This area and the city is completely changing. How do you take everyone along? How do you ensure that you're not just building a constituency for the super rich, but you're also building a constituency for the lower middle class, for those who want affordable housing? Otherwise, what will happen is people are being forced to leave Mumbai and live in Dombivli, live in Ambarnath, go to places outside where land is cheaper, housing is cheaper. We need to bring them back. We need to ensure that this area is an area for every community, for all economic strata. And that's important for all of us. Today, when in a restaurant, the restaurant owner may be living in a tower, but the people working in the restaurant live in these chawls, they live in these slums. So they need to live side by side, work side by side. So that's the vision which I have personally for every constituency in Mumbai, I would say, but certainly in South Mumbai and Worli, which is how do you resolve these issues, how do you resolve these housing issues that affect the people of BDD chawl. Then of course there are common area issues which impact all of the city in every assembly constituency: traffic, water, roads. These are areas we all need to throw our weight behind, ensure that there's better infrastructure. And so, but as I said, to rise above Worli, if we are not taking Mumbai and Maharashtra forward at the speed we've been progressing in the last 2.5 years, then everyone will suffer.
Certainly. So development plank is something high on agenda as far as Mahayuti is
It's the
concerned.
only thing on the agenda.
Absolutely.
And it's where I think that Aaditya, who came with great promise, not just failed to deliver, but I would say he became an impediment in the way of Mumbai and Maharashtra's progress and continues to do so, which I personally found and continue to find very, very unfortunate. When he came in here as someone who's fought from South Mumbai and he decided to contest the elections, the first member of his family to do so, and then chose Worli as a constituency, although he doesn't live here. I actually thought that the people of Worli, forget the politics, would benefit from his representation. He would help them, he would be accessible to them, he would solve these issues. He would take Mumbai forward, he would want Maharashtra to move forward. He wouldn't oppose for the sake of opposing. He'd educate people who were misled that we should not necessarily oppose for the sake of opposing. Every single incident, as I said, from metro to the Vadhavan port, to the refinery, to the nuclear plant, to the race course, every single issue, just blind opposition, fear psychosis.
2024, very different from elections 2019 in terms of political landscape. It's changed. We have multiple parties now. Splits have happened. Realignments have happened. You left the Congress party. You joined Eknath Shinde Sena. So how do you view these elections as compared to the previous ones, previous assembly elections in Maharashtra?
Look, the biggest disruption that happened in Maharashtra, very quickly, unfortunately, I have to excuse myself. The biggest disruption that happened in Maharashtra 2019 was when Shiv Sena and Congress came together. The Mahayuti had won a second term and the NDA won a second term in 2019. The voters decisively gave the Shiv Sena BJP alliance a second term. That mandate was stolen by Uddhav Thackeray ji, by the Congress, by Sharad Pawar ji. As a result of that disruption, you're bound to see a political fallout of that. And that's what happened. And I remember very clearly warning the Congress, warning Aaditya, that this is not in anyone's interest. Respect the people's mandate. Maintain Congress, I remember advising them, maintain the role of an opposition, constructive opposition. People chose otherwise for power, people chose otherwise for whatever unfortunate reasons, and that led to this disruption. So these things happen when you disobey, disregard the verdict of the people.